Aloha and welcome to the Path of Me podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson, and I wanted to create a sacred space for soul-to-soul conversations with people sharing their light through their passion, power, and purpose. Thank you all so much for being here. Let me introduce my next amazing podcast guest. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson, and today I have the beautiful Roxy Rogalski. I hope I pronounced that properly. She is an intuitive sound alchemist, an author, priestess, spiritual conduit of frequency, earth grid, light worker, and so much more. Welcome, Roxy, to the podcast.
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you, listeners. So happy and excited to be here.
It's so great to have you. I wanted to go back to kind of the beginning of your awakening process and talk about where you were and maybe what the catalyst was to kind of set you on your path.
Sure, that sounds like a good beginning. So I'm actually going to go a little bit further than that. I'm going to start with a boating accident that I had in 2014. And in that boating accident, I was inebriated and I went to jump off to tie down the boat, and I flipped and hit my ribs and my whole body against the boat before the boat came to dock on me, and I fell in the water.
Oh my gosh.
And I was knocked out, and I woke up in under the water looking up. I was just floating down in the water, looking up, thinking, wow, this is it. This is my life. And just being shocked and seeing this light and seeing this hand come, and it was my husband, and rescuing me.
Oh my gosh.
And that was a big wake-up call, and yet I didn't really do anything with that. It was a wake-up call, and then a few months later, my father died, and that was traumatic to me. And for any listeners who are listening, I want to just be very mindful of trauma. So this is what I'm going to share. It's just going to be brief and I'll just say it like this, is my dad was murdered. And it was very traumatic for me that the grief of that whole incident was stuck in all the places where I was healing from my boating accident. So it got really into my ribs because I had cracked ribs. I had cracked my sacrum, and it was embedded in there. So my journey really started there at that point, and this was 2014. And then it continued forward with getting healing with this intuitive practitioner who really worked with my energy fields, which I had no idea what she was doing because she was multifaceted practitioner, and she helped me to realize that the grief was stuck in my body. And from there, my journey, I continued to start listening, which is really important that I will share with listeners, is attuning within, really listening within, taking that time to listen to yourself and your higher knowing, because it really does have the answers. So that's the beginning of my journey. And I can continue, but I'm going to give a little pause here.
Wow. I mean, that's so impactful, but maybe that's exactly what it took,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right. Yeah.
To get you to pay attention, because I think we're going along in life, and a lot of times we are receiving some signs and have a little nudges, right? That maybe we need to pay attention to something, but it's so much easier to stay in our comfort zone. So sometimes we need something like, oh my gosh, Roxy, that was so traumatic. I can't believe that happened to you. And then having a loss so quickly after that.
Yeah, and then it took 5 more years to really work with that loss and that trauma and what it brought up in me. And in 2019, this is, before everything happened and the world stopped in 2020, I was given a really clear message from divine, creator, whatever word you wanna insert
Mhm.
there, that I had a path to choose, that I could go down one road, which is the road that I was on, or I can go down this other road, which is the road of service and my purpose here. And I thought, "Oh, that looks a little nice and shiny, but I'm really comfortable in my road." And even though I was given the message that this road can possibly lead to death, I still was like, "No, I think I'm gonna continue with this road." But the messages kept on coming and kept on coming that I said, "Okay, I want a clear sign." And I had learned this from a teacher. If you really want the answer, to ask for that clarity. So I asked for a clear sign. I wanted to see a turtle in 5 days.
Okay.
And the teacher told me, be open to see that turtle in whatever way. So be open to see whatever the image that you're asking or whatever, and however, like TV, however. And so by the 5th day, I hadn't seen it. And at the end of the day, I was with my acupuncturist, and the mentoree that he had under him handed me a card, and this was at Christmas time. And she handed me the card like this, and I received it, and I opened it, and it was a turtle. That's it. It was just the turtle on there.
Wow. What did you feel when you saw that turtle?
I completely had chills throughout my whole body, and I surrendered. It was no doubt within my body that this is what I had asked for, and pure surrender. And it brought tears to my eyes because I knew, oh,
Yeah.
this is the path that I'm going to be going on now.
Oh my gosh, I think we just need to take a moment to honor what transpired for you in that moment. It literally changed the trajectory of your life. That
Completely.
moment.
Completely. Yeah.
I just have chills thinking about you on a higher level and choosing this path of service because, as we know, to be in the path of service, we have to heal ourselves.
Exactly.
And it's such a hard journey back,
Hmm.
as we both know.
Hmm. Yeah.
So what followed after that? So now you have this knowing, but
So
then
now
what do
I
you
had
do
the
with the
knowing.
knowing, right?
I followed the breadcrumbs. I followed what I was given. So, what that meant for me as an empath, I'm very intuitive, and I was guided like, okay, you're going to take this functional medicine certification program. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, you're gonna jump in and take this breathwork program. All right, embodiment. And so working on the embodiment was really important because that was working on myself
Yeah.
before I can do the program to work with others and coaching
Mhm.
others. That was part of the prerequisite. And I learned so much to embody myself and what that meant. And then I was guided with a teacher who worked with your heart and opening your heart and really gathering your soul back and coming in to sovereignty. And with that, that was very, very powerful. And then I did meditation teacher training to really go inward. And then I did sound, so, and then sound
Mhm.
became the beautiful force, and I don't know, the thing that brought everything together, because we have the body. I may have a client that comes in with something having to do with the body, right? Because the body is trying to show us, like, listen to me, pay
Right.
attention,
Yes.
please. And the
Yeah.
body is giving us a message.
Right.
So a client may come in for that, but then as soon as they recognize what's happening in their body, then they realize, oh, there's another layer to that, right?
Mhm.
It's the soul talking to them. And so the bowls are very, very powerful in the fact that it's sound and frequency, and it works bypassing your thinking mind. And so
Right.
it's working with what's
It's
happening.
vibrational medicine, right? Vibrational medicine. So it's so beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you went through all this training, and then how did you transition to the bowls? You were doing a lot of self exploration.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, how did you find your way there? Or it found you, obviously, right?
It found me, but in 2021, I had a series of deaths begin for me. So it was within a 4-month period. My mother-in-law died, and then my pop, who was like my second father, died. And then after that, 3 months later, my mother died, and then my brother died. A few months
Wow.
after that, and then 2024, my niece died. That's my brother who had passed his daughter, and then my grandmother, who is the matriarchy of my whole father's lineage, and she really was the glue that held everybody together. She passed. So, I mean, all those deaths really impacted me in utilizing my tools. And really, it was my medicine. The death was my medicine inside my heart, breaking me open again and again, falling on the floor, crying, just releasing and not holding back. Whereas before, I know I would have held back. I would have not shared my pain. I would have held it in. I would have caused my body really
Right.
some deep, deep harm. And this, with the tools, allowed me to be with the grief, to really experience being with the love, because it really is the love of losing those very pivotal people in my life.
I'm amazed at the frequency and intervals and sequence of events of not just losing peripheral people in your life, but like all of the core foundational people in your life
Yes.
in such a short period of time.
Yes.
But I do believe, and I haven't experienced a lot of grief like that in my life, but I would think or imagine that the depth of the grief correlates to the depth of the love that you felt and you feel you're losing in losing the person.
Yes.
That be accurate?
Yeah, and in my chapter in the book, you can see behind me
Yeah.
that I co-wrote with many beautiful other authors, was about the death of my mom. And my chapter was that grief is love. And me finding that within myself, healing some trauma with my mom within myself, and finding that love. And the bowls were a big part of it, because at the end, it's like they sang to me. It's like it was a soothing, beautiful, beautiful heart song to me.
Wow. That's so powerful. How long did it take you to kind of process all of those losses? It's just so overwhelming to think about in such a condensed period of time. How were you able to be a container to hold it? Because we have to hold it and feel it to heal it, right? How did you, I mean, what were some of the tools you used? Because I know a lot of people are going through a lot of grief right now, losing loved ones, but also losing the old version of themselves.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of grief on the planet right now, you know?
Exactly. And that's a great, great question. And I feel that every single one of us goes through grief in our own way. There is no exact formula solution,
Mhm.
I'll say, for grief. I will say that you feel like you are on an island by yourself because unless you know what grief is or have experienced grief in a really in-depth way. And I can also say if you are a person that is very present, you can actually hold a person and understand that. So I'll say that.
Right.
But grief really feels like you're on your own island. You feel like you're alone, you're struggling, and it's a reminder that you aren't. If you can get off that island, and that's the first part, is getting off that island that you are on by yourself and swimming out to the other people that are there waiting in the ocean. I'm just using this as an analogy that they're waiting and they're there to help you. And for yourself to know that you have your own capacity to float in the water next to them. And sometimes you have to kind of let yourself go and let other people hold you up because that's part of the process too, is allowing yourself to fall apart, allowing yourself to fall on the ground and cry and sob, especially with what's happening in the world right now. It is 100% okay to grieve, 100%. And it's getting yourself out, not being stuck. Because when you get stuck, you're going to start sinking and sinking and sinking.
Right.
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 And we don't want that.
It
No.
also requires a lot of vulnerability, right?
Right.
You have to have the capacity to be vulnerable and acknowledge that you need help.
Right.
But it's hard, I would imagine, if you're feeling very alone in life to reach out and not want to burden somebody with your heaviness and grief and sadness. And what a gift to have people surrounding you that were there to hold space and help you navigate that difficult time.
Also honoring the people who couldn't because it was too much. Like the grief was like they don't know what to do. And for those people that if you're in that place of you don't know what to do for your friend or your partner or whomever that is, really, really, it's okay 100% to say that. Being honest and being there with your heart,
Right.
really all that matters, that presence, because I know that people have died for other friends. And sometimes I too get stuck in that, well, I really don't know what to say. It's okay to say, I don't know what to say, but I'm here for you.
Yeah, I think I'm here is the most powerful thing you can say.
Exactly.
You're not there to take it away or fix it, but just to be with that person in it, just next to that person, and just have them feel that they're not alone
Right. Yeah.
in the pain. Like, you're not there to fix it or heal it for them or have a judgment around it, right? You're just there with a hand on their back, just
Exactly.
saying, "I'm here."
And don't and also not, like, trying to give them tissues right away because that kinda, like, makes it feel like, "Oh, I have to stop crying
Mm,
now," until they ask for the tissue. It's like
mm,
allowing them to be there, maybe snot running down. I mean, it
yeah,
happens,
yeah,
but allowing that presence of
yeah.
you sitting right there in this, right next to me with your hand on my back is all.
It does take a level of mastery for people to do that because I think their emotional discomfort makes them want to, like, tamper down your emotional discomfort,
Exactly.
right? And so
Right.
I think we have to be so mindful that and actually acknowledge if we don't have the capacity,
Mhm.
right, to hold space, to maybe show up in a different way, leave a meal, send a card. There's so many ways we can show up without having to physically be there. We're
Right.
still there energetically, you know?
Yeah.
But it sounds like
Good points.
it was a really powerful catalyst for you.
Yeah. It grieving and death were not new to me. I had worked at Zen Hospice in San Francisco, and I had done other work working for a cancer clinic. So it's something that I feel is one of my callings is to be there, and I've been there for other family members who had died previous to this short period of time,
Right.
that I felt that their soul was waiting for everybody else to leave the room and that they can die in my presence. And I'm not saying that in an egotistical way, but in a
No,
way of like sending them blessings, sending them on, being that frequency to send them to that next journey of their life.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So after you navigated through this, which was also happening during COVID, right?
Right.
Which added another layer of difficulty because of the physical separation, I would think, from maybe your normal group of friends or family that you'd interact with personally. There was a little more distance, right?
Right.
What what came next? Like how did you navigate forward after you were able to kind of come to the surface and take a breath, reconnect with yourself a little bit more and engage a little more with the external world?
I went on in a few years ago. I can't remember exactly. I think prior to the book coming out, I went on a retreat for 14 days, I believe, in Spain. And this retreat was with two of my teachers, and one of the teachers, which is the open heart one, and the other teacher was womb and feminine divine energy. So it's very much, it felt while I was there, it was very much the feminine and the masculine energy that they both held in very deep reverence, and that they were both very solid in sovereignty and sovereign in their energy and holding that energy. And a group of us went there, and we went there and we showed up there without like, "Hi, Wendy, what's your name? What did you do?" What none of that. We were told to go there and just drop into our heart. And when we interacted with each other was just being in that moment with that person. No stories,
I love that. I
which
love
is
that.
such a different way to be. So just
Yes,
showing up and meeting you and just dropping in and being with,
right.
right? So there was a lot of silence and like just being there, looking at one another and dropping in and saying different mantras and prayers and really working with the energies of Mars and Venus, because that's what my teacher Adam worked with, and working with your womb, with which is what Catherine did with different practices. So these different practices and bringing forward what was arising, because when you're in this big collective group, there's stuff that's going to be boiling up. So within this group and this collective, I was able to call my soul back,
Powerful.
which is very powerful because we said our name, our birth name, because when we come into this world, we're given a birth name, right? So our
Mhm.
parents give us a name, put that on our birth certificate. So I said my name from my birth certificate, and it was Roxanna Figueroa, which is what my name is in the book there. And it was my mom's last name. It said
Oh,
father unknown at that time. Did not say my
interesting.
father's name.
Wow.
Mhm. And the phrase that you said, we were saying phrases together in groups of 4. You would say the same phrase over and over and over. But the first line, which I will share, is just your name. So you say, my name is, and I said, my name is Roxana Figueroa. And then welcoming myself, I said this phrase. I could not get over, all I could say was, my name is, and my whole body started to shake. Physically, like shaking, like my soul was like, my physical body's like, what's going on? I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. And both teachers came over and they held the front of my heart and the back of my heart. And I held my womb. And they had this presence there to anchor me. And the person in front of me was a shaman woman. And we were, she was just holding that presence. She would look at me and I kept saying it until I could say my name, my name. And that took a little bit. And then when I finally said it, my name is Roxana Figueroa, my whole soul, it felt like my soul dropped in and I landed.
Powerful.
That moment on, I have had myself. I am a sovereign being and I am
Yes.
here.
Yes. Powerful. And what a gift for you to have such masters surrounding you and holding space for that event.
Yes.
So powerful to have people you trust and people with the capacity energetically to create sacred space for that to happen. That's a life-changing moment.
It's another life-changing moment for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you taste sovereignty, once you know your soul self, you can't go back. You only expand and go forward. You don't go back in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And so that impacts everything, right? It impacts how we show up in the world, who we become in the world, how we interact with the people in our lives also shifts. I was wondering how that impacted your relationships because you leave as one person
Mm-hmm.
and you come back different.
Exactly. I lost some friendships, which is a part of this journey.
Yeah.
And I had already started to lose those friendships even prior to that. When I said yes in 2020, when I said
Hmm.
yes in 2019, and then I started my journey on 2020, I lost friendships. And there was that grieving in
Yeah.
there of losing those close friends. And with that, David G., who's a meditation teacher, taught me, he said, who's in your front row? Who is rooting you on? Who is not trying to save you, not trying to fix you,
Hmm.
but being a witness to you? Who are those people? And it really made me look at, wow, wow. Okay, so those are people are gone, and it
So few,
right made
right?
space for new people. Once those people were gone, it made space for
Right.
new people to step in and have that. And I was like, wow, wow. So when you feel like you're going through this, for any listeners who are like, yeah, I made this change and now I'm doing this and I really don't resonate with those people anymore, those
Yeah.
neighbors or that,
Right.
or, they, it takes a moment of just honoring that grief, because it is grief of saying goodbye to those friends
Mhm.
and knowing that others will come. Others that are meant to be in your front row will come, and being okay with the loss of losing those friends. Yeah.
Those are such wise words. But also we have to also not diminish the fact that there is silence for a
Yeah,
while.
there is.
And there's a gap.
Mhm.
Like I notice when I integrate a higher aspect of myself, there's a silence within myself because I'm integrating the next level of me and I haven't learned yet how to communicate and receive. And, we're constantly evolving and expanding and integrating higher and higher versions of ourselves. I find it's infinite, truly. But there's this really uncomfortable place of silence where people drop away, where you're not really connected and you are anchored in energetically, but you haven't made that. I've learned that every aspect of myself communicates with me differently. They're different energies. How we connect is a little bit different. So there's this uncomfortable silence, I think, as we're growing into ourselves
Yes. Mhm.
that we have to be really patient with, because as humans we have these programs of wanting to do or force, or we have a an ego kind of timeline of how we think things should be going. And and that really has to go out the window, because it's really more divine time. It's not really like our time, right? And our how we think it should unfold.
Right.
There's a level of surrender, I feel, as we journey on.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
So, how has your work evolved in your service to others and the planet? And what are you finding and learning through this process of being in sacred service to others and our world, honestly?
Hmm. So what am I learning, right, from this process? That's a good question. What am I learning? I'm learning to surrender. I'm learning to be okay with not knowing,
Huge.
which is huge. And I am very much, uh, I will use my astrological sun, which is Capricorn, who likes to be in control, who likes to have the list.
Mhm.
And it is a process of learning to be okay with not knowing, not having that list, not knowing what's going to happen. Even in this moment, even in this conversation, I don't know what I'm going to share. And it's okay to not know that. So I'm learning every day to surrender more and more, while also having the gift of discernment, because that is super important.
That is so powerful, because without discernment, we can't stay in our alignment.
Exactly. Yeah. And for my service keeps evolving. I learn to articulate more of what it is that I do. So, yes, I have these beautiful sound bowls, but what is it that I offer, right? And I offer presence, compassion, and I offer this ceremonial space that allows your soul and your body to drop in and be safe and feel safe and surrender. And with the sound, it works with your frequency, should you choose, because we always have a choice. We have that choice to say yes or no. And I always ask that, always ask that. And I have had people say no,
Hmm.
which has been a very interesting experience for me of, okay, no, then maybe ask yourself, why are you here? But it sometimes the person just needs to touch in with their toe in the water. Maybe not go all the way in. And it's honoring wherever the person is coming at their level, and it's not my agenda, it's where they are at. So if they're just coming to step in with the toe in the water, that's completely okay. And if they're coming in to surrender, that is completely okay too. It's whatever the client is needing.
I mean, that's the true art of healing,
Mm-hmm.
is meeting people where they are, not forcing an agenda or outcome, holding space, honoring their journey, because there are a million paths up the mountain. And so I found that in my own practice, it's important that I work with people in resonance with me,
Yes.
because there are other healers in other bandwidths that are meant to work with people in those bandwidths, you know? And so it has really, for me, shifted my approach to the work and the service. There's such a program out there about chasing and building and scaling and hustling and increasing
Mm-hmm.
the numbers, the volume, the impact. But what I was told very early on was, we're the ripple in the pond, we're the pebble in the pond, and each person who comes is a pebble in the pond. So it's important that we connect with the people in resonance, because together, when we amplify, the ripple effect is very powerful, even if the number is few. The few people holding a very high vibrational frequency has a massive impact on the world and the collective, versus many people at a low frequency
Mm-hmm.
holding that frequency.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, and I actually want to add to that. So it may be a few, and I'm completely in agreement with that. It may be a few, but let's say this one person has her community
Right.
and she is rippling to hundreds of people.
Yes.
We may think it's just these 5 people, but these 5 people have reaches out to so many.
They're rippling out. Exactly. That's what I meant by the ripple in the pond. It's not just me rippling, but I mean, it's really
It-
a collective impact, right?
Right.
So, yes, I agree. And thank you for clarifying that, because it's definitely, that was the message I was given. You have no idea the impact you have through the people you work with. And they're all also, and I know for you too, here for a very specific role that they're meant to play here. It's not a cookie cutter thing. It's like they all have their own divine blueprint that they're aligning with and opening to through your work with them.
Yeah, we all do. We all have our own fingerprints. We are
Yes.
all different. That's just fact. We
And
are
that's
all
the beauty of it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Is that we all step into our own unique essence and our own divine calling, and to trust that it's coming. It's not always on our timing. It's not always in the forefront of our awareness. Because I don't you feel like a lot of workers right now are really shifting and finding their lanes, and a lot of them are pivoting away from things that they've been doing for a very long time.
Yes, I see them changing, dropping old paradigms of themselves, old identities of themselves, and shifting into this new frequency. I do. Yeah.
Very powerful.
Mhm. And to those individuals who are still feeling that they have to be a cookie cutter of that other person, and that they see that and they see the marketing numbers of 10,000 whatever followers or whatever that is, honoring that you see that and just noticing that about yourself, and then coming back into yourself and realizing, hey, I have my unique fingerprints, and
Yes.
I am going to step into my power of how I am and how I do things. And I know that my husband, who's a musician, he can fall off of that and then look at the numbers and compare, and then I remind him, like, "Come back, come back. You are beautiful in your offerings, in your sound, and the music that you have." Remembering to come back, and that ripple from him, he reminds other musicians who are around him, like,
Mm.
"Hey, I'm losing hope, and look, I only have 100" whatever it is. So that is such a strong and powerful message for those out there who get caught in that loop. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Also, it requires so much faith. We don't really talk about faith in the process, but the further I've gone on the journey, I've realized the more faith is required
It's
because as you're expanding and growing, you're really being pushed out of your comfort zone all the time. Because who you are is constantly changing. If you think about on a quantum level, how quickly we are expanding and our light bodies are changing, our biology is changing, our consciousness is expanding. It's when you get to a quantum level, it's exponential. And so every moment you aren't the same person as that last moment. And it takes a lot to surrender that human linear mind to live from that place of being in a quantum world, which is the direction we're going,
Mhm.
where we are just in this now moment. And I've noticed that there is no path because we're creating a very unique template based on our individual fingerprint, and it's never been done before. And so everything that has happened in the past no longer applies. We're really creating our own, we're aligning with our divine blueprint, but we're also creating our own path in connection and community with that blueprint, right?
Mhm.
So we really have to. I just wrote this whole thing about how you have to burn your maps because there are no maps anymore. We're all just kind of creating our own map and navigating through our own North Star and compass, our way forward. And I can feel so tangibly all the beautiful offerings that are coming in the world. And I know people would say, how can you say that? Have you read the news? Do you
Right.
know that we have this horrible, conflict happening, or there are all these things that would indicate otherwise? And it's not that I'm naive, but also we are witnessing the collapse of an old paradigm,
Mhm.
and that involves chaos, and that involves destruction and collateral damage. And I don't think we can really wrap our minds around what's coming because we're in this system of fall and we haven't really pulled up and started to create and build on new foundational principles in architecture and the law of one, which is more heart centered, community, um, cohesion, connectivity, right? And working together for the benefit of the whole instead of division and separation. So we haven't quite made the transition yet, but I feel it's very accelerated, and we are going to start to see more of that in our world as the old paradigm kind of implodes in. It kind of looked to me like if you've ever seen a building in a controlled demolition where it
Mhm.
just kind of comes straight down,
Right. Yeah, I've seen that. Mhm.
that's the energy that I feel is happening. These certain paradigms and old world, old earth ion energies that were tied to the third dimension, lower vibrational frequency is collapsing. But there are so many beautiful people in place like you and many others that we both know and don't know that are in place to come forward and really collaborate and work together to create a new architectural foundation for a more loving and peaceful world.
Yeah, I feel that we are all holding, because I work with the earth and the grids, we're all holding the light in there. We are all being beacons of light. So there are beacons of light all around the world of all these beings, all these beautiful people. We're all holding this light as everything is crumbling in. What
Absolutely.
has to happen,
Hmm.
and we can hold this higher frequency of love, this higher frequency of this joint collaboration, that we are all in this together, right? It's not a I,
Absolutely.
it's a we.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, in being very anchored within ourselves, nurturing and loving ourselves and taking care of our physical bodies, our mental and emotional bodies, our consciousness, right? And staying really firmly rooted in our being and our soul. We are also mitigating the reverb and repercussions of all of the chaos.
I can just
And
feel
so
that.
people really need to understand that they are also vital in this process. And the more you can heal and hold more light in your being, in your soul, in your human expression here, the more you are supporting the world, even if you're not out there speaking on stages or healing people, just you being the highest version of yourself is so impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that every person who is on this journey and they are doing the work for themselves, it's rippling in right now. I mean, in their generation, 7 generations behind them is,
Yes.
and more. I mean, as they are continuing to do that work, yeah, they don't have to be a practitioner.
No,
Have to. It's them working with themselves and their trauma and
totally.
being present, and with them doing that, that is rippling in their close relationships and with their neighbors and at the grocery store, and that's a beautiful
Mhm.
ripple that is felt, of being kind in a car and letting another car go ahead of
Absolutely. Kindness is free, right? But also, so many people don't realize that they are literally healing their ancestral trauma
Yes.
backwards and forwards.
Mm.
They're interrupting a pattern for their children, their children's children, future generations. That is so powerful and so huge. And they might feel like, well, I'm not doing anything, I'm just here raising my kids and being nice, but if you are breaking and interrupting multi-generational ancestral patterns, there's no more sacred work than that. I feel like so many people doing such powerful work to heal themselves don't give themselves the credit.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example too for those listeners out there. I have my sister. She got her teacher's certification to be with younger kids to help them, and she ended up having a brain injury. And I'm
Oh
sorry, sister, that I'm sharing this on
my
here.
goodness.
But, meaning she had a tumor in her head, like, all this stuff, and when
Wow.
she came out of that, she decided, "I don't wanna do that work," and I was like, "Wow, you decided that after going through the schooling and all of the work that you've done
Wow.
yourself?" And she said, "No, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go work at a movie theater." And that's what I'm gonna do. And her working at the movie theater and working with all the young kids who are coming into to have that, weekend job, those
Yeah.
teenagers who maybe didn't have, parents that could help them. She has this huge impact in their life.
Yes.
Huge impact.
Isn't that amazing that she knew that?
She
She was
just
guided there?
she was guided there. And
Wow.
every day she has her struggles that she's working through, but she's working through it, and that's gonna ripple backwards
Yeah.
and, as you said, forward.
Powerful. It's so powerful. want to take a minute to really honor the journey of every single person out there,
Mhm.
because this is not a easy ride, as you and I both know.
Exactly.
So, gosh, our time went so fast. I feel like I need to have you on 3 more times. But if you were to offer some words of wisdom to somebody who is kind of lost right now and maybe uncertain about how to go forward, with maybe processing a lot of fear around the events happening in the world, maybe you could think of one or two things you could share, tools that could help them move forward.
I volunteer with a cancer clinic. It's a free cancer clinic for low income and immigrant women. And I provide sound healing for them. And there's other modalities there. And a tool that I gave them was when they wake up to take 3 breaths before they go spiraling in their mind. So
Ooh,
this is a
that's powerful.
simple tool that is extremely powerful because right away we can go in our mind like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Oh, I'm feeling this. Oh, that person woke me up. That spiral, if you catch yourself right there in that moment and drop in, maybe place a hand on your heart and a hand on your womb and just drop in and be like, just taking 3 deep breaths, landing and knowing what energy do I want to have today? What energy do I want to ripple out? What needs do I need met for myself today? And that simple practice has really made an impact on my clients. And the other tool, the second tool, is I brought a piece of yarn and I did a sound bath for this group of women. And I brought the yarn and I handed my yarn to all of them and I went all around. And then I said, here's an image of a yarn. Okay. Now, every day, in the morning and the evening, call your energy back. So I pulled that
Powerful.
yarn.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband said, you should have made one of them hold on to the yarn. And I was like, why? He's like, because there are people that want your energy
Yeah.
and don't want to release it.
True.
And I was like, wow, that's very
Powerful.
powerful. And so that was the next, exercise was, okay, if you have a person that you
Yeah. Yeah.
here's a tool is just
Mm.
really, really calling that back and saying, I declare. When you say I declare, you are really calling that energy back. So I mean those are
Powerful.
2 simple tools that you can do every day for yourself, especially during this period of it feels like it's chaotic, right?
Mhm.
And for yourself, if you're searching and you're not sure which way to go, start with that. Start with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that beautiful wisdom. I feel like I need to talk to you longer, have you back on. We just scratched the surface. But Roxy, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful journey and your beautiful heart with us, and just for being such a light in the world. I love you, and I'm so grateful that our paths crossed. And I feel like we get the honor of walking beside each other going forward on this journey. And I can't wait to see what's next for us both.
I can't wait. The
Me
world
too.
is our oyster. And I'm
Yeah.
going to end with the sound of the bowls. So
Perfect.
thank you, thank you, thank you to all of our listeners. And thank you, Wendy, for having me on.
Thank you, Roxy. And to all of you out there, I hope you have a beautiful day. Be kind to yourselves. I love you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.